played a ton of Tony Hawk games growing up. It was one of my favorite franchises of the PS1 era, but one that I mostly forgot about since the change in direction that started with the PS2 games. I also skipped over Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 5 for the current generation, and I don't think I need to give you a reason for that, as it's pretty much well known how bad the game is. That's all to say I haven't spent much time with Tony Hawk games since Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 4. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1+2 has finally come out with the promise to offer us fans a way to relive the glory days of the franchise. But does it live up to the expectations? Yes, it does. I grew up in the 90s and I feel I had the privilege of witnessing the birth of many of the iconic franchises that still see new games to this day. Resident Evil, Crash Bandicoot, Ridge Racer, and of course Tony Hawk's Pro Skater were among the wave of games that to me makes it clear why the 32-bit era is considered the golden age of games. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater by its own merit started a new brand of sports game that wasn't like anything we had seen before. Of course, we had games that attempted to do what Tony Hawk's Pro Skater managed to pull off so well, but Tony Hawk is the first one to offer such a combination of full 3D maps, fun and accessible gameplay, and inarguably a soundtrack that helped shape many people's musical tastes, regardless of whether you were into hardcore, ska, hip-hop, or something else. Using myself as an example, many of the bands I still listen to this day were bands I first listened to in Tony Hawk games. And defying expectations, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2 was a much superior sequel to an already awesome game that introduced new mechanics that would become staples of the franchise. The graphics were improved, gameplay was a lot more fluid and fun, and the soundtrack was still awesome to listen to. When Activision announced the full-on remake for the first two Tony Hawk games was in the works, I felt like a kid again. The trailer showed it wasn't going to be another mistake like Tony Hawk's Pro Skater HD was, so that concern was thrown out the window right off the bat. And it also served to make a point to fans that they understood what made the original game so popular, and that alone made me even more excited for this remake in particular than any other remake that came out over the course of this generation. The moment I booted up the game, I was completely washed over by all sorts of nostalgic feelings, and it became clear I was in for a game that would probably feel like a love letter to the fans of the original. And it definitely does feel like a love letter through and through. The soundtrack we all loved is still here, although with a few omissions due to licensing issues, but at the very least the hits remain in the game. On top of that, the developers went the extra mile to add even more songs that were not present in the original games, and that's definitely appreciated. The gameplay is still the same as it used to be, but faster and more fluid than before. They removed some of those long animations of the original after your character fell off the skate and replaced it for a glitch effect that quickly puts you back onto the skate. The levels are faithful to the layouts of the original games, but with a beautiful makeover that makes everything come to life in a way that wasn't possible on the PlayStation 1. Unfortunately, I don't have footage of the original games to compare, but there's plenty of stuff like that on YouTube already for those who would like to have a better idea of how far along these games have come. The lighting in this game is beautiful. The warehouse and school levels from both games have that summer afternoon vibe, while the mall has received a makeover that truly makes it feel like you're skating inside an abandoned and dilapidated venue. And all of the other levels follow suit by having the lighting adding to the atmosphere present in the original games rather than deviating from it. But where I think the developers took risks that paid off in spades is in the modernization aspect of this game. In the original games, you had a pretty straightforward structure. Pick a level and complete as many goals within the time limit. Rinse and repeat or move on to another level if you wanted to take a break from something you were having a hard time with. That was it. And as boring as it may sound to people who didn't play those games on the PS1, it was actually a ton of fun to go through the game in that manner, and if you didn't care for the goals at all, you could simply load up a level to see how many points you managed to get on every run. It was a race against yourself to see how far you were able to push things. If you had a friend, you could also enjoy some extra modes that added some variety to the core gameplay. In this remake, you have access to all of that both in single player but also online. I love the online of this game for one reason and one reason only: agility. Unlike many games in this generation that favor option over speed, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1+2 doesn't care about what you want, and I love it. If you pick Jam Session for example, you're thrown in a lobby with other people and within a few seconds the game picks a mode. You have a time limit to do whatever the game asks you to, and then it determines the winner. Immediately after, it moves everybody over to the next thing it wants you to do. You never have time to take a break or to think about what you actually want. It's fast-paced, it doesn't let you vote for what you want, and that's something I really appreciate. I hate when games offer voting polls after every single thing you do because it breaks the momentum. I know it's a matter of taste, but that's how I feel about option versus speed. If your tastes for online modes align with mine, then chances are you're going to love what Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1+2 have to offer. Otherwise, give it a go and see for yourself. The skaters from the original games are all here, and you're able to create your own custom skater and dress it however you want using some of the apparel you can buy from the store. As for the main roster, you can select from a number of unlockable presets paying homage to the first 4 Tony Hawk's Pro Skater games, but you won't be able to customize them like you can your custom skaters, which might be an issue to some people. New to this remake are challenges. The game offers 714 challenges for you to complete, and that's either on top or related to the goals and gaps of the original games. There's a ton of stuff for you to go through, and I believe that's going to take at least a couple months to complete, even to the most dedicated gamers. These challenges pay you rewards that increases your level and give you money, which brings me to my next point. There are tons of stuff for you to buy in this game, from clothes and boards to props you can use in the park creation mode. A lot of these are locked behind levels, which means if you want to have access to everything the store offers for purchase, you're gonna have to play this game a lot to reach higher levels. That's not a big deal to me personally, as I'm not that big into customization, but I can definitely see that as a problem for people who enjoy the customization aspect in these types of games, being forced to play the game in a number of different ways to speed up the leveling process. The in-game shop is where I think there's a likely chance to get microtransactions. And as with the level gating thing, I don't see a huge problem with that as long as it's only for customization items. I would obviously prefer a game entirely without it, but it's not that big a deal to me. With the online component of this game, there's also an awesome discoverability aspect to the custom user-created levels, because the game allows you to browse through other people's creations, and that alone is going to increase the longevity of this game by a lot. As the developers mentioned, if there's enough demand, there might be more stuff coming down the line. The only thing I'm missing from the awesome package that is this game is crossplay, and I hope that's one of the things that's in the developers' plans. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1+2 is a classic game wrapped in a modern package that's going to please both players of the original games as well as players who have never played it. There's a lot of stuff to keep you busy over a long period of time, and even after you manage to do it all, there's the custom levels for you to explore. That's all I have for this video. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and I'll talk to you on the next one. Bye.